and welcome back, and today we are playing Lizards, and my do I have good news to report. If you've been trying to make this deck work, we've been playing it in Mythic and it performed incredibly well, and it actually felt like it could grind out games, whereas before when I played Lizards, I didn't think it necessarily could. You kind of had to have the hot start with something like a Higher Claw, which we should know what this does. On attack with the Lizard, it does ping your opponent for 1 and also makes contact with that nice upgrade ability on it to put an additional 1/1 counter on it, and you can activate it if the opponent's lost life. Or we have the Vinelashes in here, you know, get a little bit of extra value off our land drops. Oftentimes we just need to get really close to pinging our opponent down. It's just like one nice attack and get the job done, especially with a sneaky card like Scales of Shale to pump a creature that they don't necessarily block and then get that little extra damage in. Or against red, we use this to kind of protect our creature, trade theirs off, and then gain that life back, especially when we are blocking like one of those creatures that whenever they die, they ping you for their total power. So other than that, we've typically had to kind of lean in with one of these, play a Flamecache Gecko, and then hope it like plays a second thing. Oftentimes it didn't necessarily go that way that I played it last time, but today it went well. It went super well, and one of the reasons for that is playing the Valley Rotcaller in here. This card is a very sick card to play, that whenever it attacks, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of other squirrels, bats, lizards, and rats you control. Obviously, we have a lot of lizards in this deck, so this will typically get a lot of good value on it, and the gain life aspect is so good for this type of card, because obviously the downside is, in this deck, it really is 2 mana, enter the battlefield, and do nothing for the most part. And one of the things we learn is like also this cannot give it haste because it's only lizard, mouse, otter, or raccoon, and this does not fit that description. It's one of the hard parts about these cards, by the way, is like they name 5 creature types and sometimes one of the creature types just get dropped off of it. So it's just like a little weird to like try to maintain what all of them do. But so it is like 2 mana play, but this is a remove on site, just like Gev is a remove on site, and just like a Fireglass Mentor is a remove on site. So whenever we play our 1-drop and then we play one of these 2-drops that inevitably gets removed, whether it's a cut down, a go for the throat, or some sort of like get lost or something like that, the best part about it is we get to follow it up with an Alesha. Alesha is one of the cool cards that we're playing in this deck that whenever it attacks, we put a 1/1 counter on it, but it has the unique ability Raid, which Raid gives ability trigger if a creature control attack this turn. It's not the same thing for every card on Raid. Raid has like a lot of different things. It's kind of like Ward in a way. Like Ward is either pay 1 or discard a card. Raid typically does something different, and this one says at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alesha's power from the graveyard to the battlefield. So another curve that we get in this deck by playing this card is playing one of our 1-drops. Hopefully it doesn't get removed. We play a 2-drop that typically will at some point, whether it's a go for the throat that we also play, or say they played a tap land and now they cut down one of these, or say they block something or do something weird and one of these ends up dying. The best part is we can attack with that 1-drop we played on turn 1, on turn 3, as well as turn 2, and then play the Alesha, bringing back that 2-drop they removed and recovering our board state much quicker than we need to do if we're just drawing the cards off the top. Outside of that, we're just going to go ahead and dive into the games. The first couple are maybe the fastest games I've ever played, which is nice. And then we have some other games that we truly had to grind out and play. And we get to see Jasper do the craziest things against the kind of mono white cat deck, as we kind of get to play a lot more of their cards than our cards, which is quite funny. So stick tuned for those, and we're going to go ahead and dive into games. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Truly helps out the channel a ton, and let's go game. Considering I've like played my entire hand this second turn, I feel like it's pretty fine. It's when this attacks. Yeah. And attack. Now, obviously I could pump here, but I think there's no reason whatsoever not to just like flood the board here and just say good luck. All right, go ahead. I say, there's an obvious one to remove. That is Valley Rotcaller for sure. And a land comes in for us. We attack. Getting hit. And then this is already looking fantastic for the home team. Welcome back. Like, we just killed that thing, man. That might single-handedly be the fastest game of lizards that I've ever played. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, very sick. What I like about this hand is we can... Yeah, we like this hand, of course. We get to play the Vinelasher right away. Not necessarily as, like, good as the previous person, but... Land, Swiss Spear. Obviously, there'll be no attack here. Sure. Attack. Like I said, there's like... I don't think there's a world in which they ever, like, actually block, but you never know. We obviously would use the scales. And, okay. So, I just said I had the fastest game last time. I don't think I could physically beat that game. Alright, we go first. After what I've been playing thus far, it's quite funny. Yeah, we'll keep this. Fabled Passage a little, like, not questionable. That's not really the word I want to use, but a little worse. Obviously here without the lizard that can shoot them based on our land drops that we make. Lied, I have it too, I guess. Let's play the Vinelasher here. Play this, and let's ping our opponent. We attack, we shoot them. Now, one thing that we want to make sure that we do, if we ever use this scale on our hired claw, we want to do it before we attack, unless we're specifically using it as a protection spell. And the reason for that is because the shooting that this does, it deals 1 damage to target. It says that the higher claw does it. Means that if this has lifelink, this will actually also gain us 1 after the block or the attack and the ping. But obviously we'll use it defensively here if they attack. Sure. Yes. Please. This is indestructible, right? Yes. Destructible, gain a little life, get another creature off the board. Like, fantastic for us. Now, we're in a weird spot where I, like, want to play this for value purposes, but I also want to just use the Go for the Throat. Like, are we down much if I just go for the Throat this 1-drop here? Oh, we'll just see. Maybe we can, like, do it on their end step if they don't invest too much here. And then we can do it again on our turn. There's a second white source. Could be double protection spell. Sure. Yeah. Very small comparatively to what it could be. This has been only like a 1-mana pump 1, right? Sure, we let this happen. We're pretty much going to follow through with our plan. We're going to watch them use a protection spell here. We're going to sack this land. We're going to ping them, and then we're going to remove it on their turn. On our turn, I guess. My bad. I know this is like a lot more damage than we necessarily need to do, but I'm more interested in getting all these cards out of their hand. We just obviously want to grab a swamp here. Kind of just got to... Oh. Oh. Yeah, we want to grab a mountain. Our hand just happens to have a lot of black in it, so like... Oh, sweet. We get to do both. There we go. Pop this. We'll take our 5 down to 15. I don't feel too horrible about that. We're down to 8. This can get a creature back that we don't have in there quite yet. Sure. This attacks. We feel pretty good. Another tap land. Sure. I can't imagine this attacks, but you never really know, right? Yeah, let's go to combat. Do I want to attack with Vinelasher? Yeah, I just want to attack like this, I think. There's 2. This is what, 2 mana to activate? Sure. Activate. So they might use the protection spell here, which is, of course, fine. Not like fine, but like fine, right? Get them to invest it. And then we play here. Ping them for 1. Pick this back up. Then we just play this mountain. Then sacrifice this, return it. It's not a sorcery, so we can just wait. Then we can grab this back, and then when a lizard attacks, we can win the game that way. With 1 card in hand, obviously, we'll just let the lizard, or let the mouse hit us. It's a good game from here. Unless, of course, we could technically lose if they have like a Shelter by Ghost. Obviously, no blocks from me. They said good game. I'm just going to do what I should do, no matter what, because obviously they could have a removal spell. We play this, we go to combat, and we attack. So we do it cleanly. Just make sure that, you know, we actually get that lethal there, because, like, again, if they remove something because they said good game, then obviously feels a lot worse. Opponent first. A little tough, but that's okay. You can definitely keep this, though. Well, I mean, I'd probably just go for removal, right? Obviously, I could play a lizard. Then they get to do things like this where they kind of hold. Alright, sweet. Get rid of the bigger one that also, like, kind of draws them cards. It doesn't actually draw cards, but, like, it feels like it does in a way. Alright, do we want to do temp damage with the Vinelasher? And I think the answer is yes. Well, I can still just play the basic mountain, right? We play this, we ping, then we just play the higher claw. Now we're looking pretty okay here. And then we could probably go ahead and block with Vinelasher here, as long as it's not a Shelter by Ghost. Obviously that sucks, but I feel like this is more Boros Burn than it is like any aura deck. That's typically the case when you see a higher claw, but it is best of 1 on the ladder, so who really knows? Also, we haven't quite seen an aura yet, but looking to pump here, so I'll definitely throw the block like we talked about just now. The reason for this is because I can bring it back. Yeah, so they pump, that dies. They keep the card in hand. That's kind of the objective there. Now it looks like obviously we want to play double higher claw, and then we could hit for like 3, which is a lot of damage, right? It almost makes it more worth it to me to do that. But I do get to put a first striking creature out. They get to 1/1 whenever it attacks. It gets a 1/1, so I want to get it kind of started, I guess. We attack here, no pump, that hits. We play here, and then we bring back the Vinelasher. And then again, Vinelasher can honestly just be like a repetitive blocker as long as they don't answer a leash. Sure. So first strike, a lot of damage it looks like is on board here. So let's just jump here. Again, we kind of know what we're at and where we want to be. There's a burst lightning on that. Yeah, it's just that's just a tough case overall. Being on the draw here is going to be too brutal, I think. Play a Jasper here, and I think I have to attack with 1. Waiting too long against the burn deck is just not going to go well for us. This is the only problem really with this card, is the fact that it's got 2 power and 2 toughness. Yeah, we just losing both creatures here. I mean, just not a whole lot I can do, I think. Because they have one pump spell, we just die. And if their cards suck, this Valley Rotcaller being able to be played and then double pumps would be nice. Here and here. Actually, Jeff's probably okay. Now we hold. Maybe we hold. I still feel like we're just dead to... I mean, we're dead to any burn spells. Double strike. I mean, that forces us to block. They don't even attack. Their hand has to be kind of bad. Okay. That's interesting. But we do know that we are in a bit of a problem here if I don't attack. So I think I have to. Because this is life gained. I just don't think we have a whole lot of other choices here. This isn't a lizard, so that is the only downside of it attacking, is that it doesn't trigger their higher claws. But I think they're now weighing the options of trading this off, and I definitely think it's probably worth. I think higher claw has to go. But they obviously didn't have Monstrous Rage. I don't know what this card is, but it can't be that impressive in my mind. Ooh. That's how we're blocking? I guess you have to block with 5, right? I think that's the problem. If you want to kill the Rotcaller, you have to block with 5. It is a 3/5. So, Get Lost making things a lot more complicated than it probably needed to be. That's one of my downsides on Get Lost. I understand it because obviously, like, temporary lockdown's so devastating to them. Same with us, obviously. But, right here, like, I think this helped develop a problem that they have to try to answer. And also it has Menace, so they have to double block. But we'll see. We didn't go straight into combat, so there's a chance that we're fine. It looks like they're going to pump the Challenger. Typically always want to do that, and they're going to try to do it before combat to probably hopefully hit another Manifold Mouse or maybe hit something else important. Need this to be a dead card. Burst Lightning is not a dead card. But it's not great for them. That has Ward Pay life, so that also doesn't feel great. We have a 2/3 Hired Claw that's good. So activating that land on the Challenger before combat kind of tells us that maybe their hand is not good. But they're definitely struggling to put us away, though. Second Higher Claw, very good. So one of the downsides there, too, of using the land that they used, right, is the fact that they didn't give the second Higher Claw haste. So they could have done maybe a little bit more damage by getting an extra creature in. Obviously, if this is double strike, we block with our... That's a kind of look here. I'm not sure. If I can not block, we have to do the math. So we go to 6. Our 1/2 is probably blocking that Challenger regardless. Because we need as much alive as we can have with our Rotcaller. Unless this is the slowest roll of all time. They're like, Monstrous Rage to Challenger. We're like, what have we been here for? I think they're trying to decide if they have to Burst Lightning before the damage actually happens. Maybe they figured out some math that we just aren't privy to. So that's 4 double shot. Okay, so I mean, it's obvious that this... Ooh. So if Gev blocks here, we take 2. And then I can attack. And this can get pumped and it's 1. because this can get larger. So we actually want to block like this, I think. And then we'll take our 4 here. Yeah. Or I guess this can also block like this. This has to block here because it's lethal otherwise. Yes. I think that's lethal. I think that's just lethal there. Wow. We grind this game out? Because that's double ping here off the higher claws. And this is a life gain drain of 2. And this has menace. What a crazy game for us to come away with. That's... I would never think we win that game typically. But yeah, this is going to deal 2. We're going to gain 2. That part's not that relevant here. But yeah, so they'll end up at 3. A second higher claw pings them twice. They're at 1. This having menace is like massive because now in this have to block here. And we have a scot-free higher claw coming through. But I was pretty sure it was lethal regardless. Because again, we drain for 2 and they're at 5. And then this hits for 3, so it's lethal. So they have to block here. And this just attacks. This still drains for 2. And then we pump it using its ability here. Because it also pings them. So it ends up doing 4. And it's actually even more threatening. So what a crazy one to come away with. That's very sick. That is very sick. Opponent goes first. I mean, our hand's pretty good. I'll keep. Obviously, if this sticks, like we have like a lot of pressure. Okay. Seems like it's gonna... You know, he's going to stick. This is about to be the back alley fight. We got the cats against the lizards, which is an interesting thing that I said out loud just now. Let's play here. Play Gev. Hope Gev sticks. If Gev sticks, we cast. We hope this hits a land, and then we just play a land from there. The only real issue I get... Oh, of course. Am I surprised? Not really, but I guess I play a Jasper because it is a 4/3. They haven't hit much. A Jasper can trade up unless they have a second Shelter by Ghost, which, quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised. There's some life now. This Johnny Primite's going to get huge. We'll have to find a go for the throat for that. Or our own Pride Mate. Obviously we can attack with Jasper if we want. I can play their Pride Mate just as a value card, I suppose. But I can also Offspring here. I don't know if that makes much sense, really. It kind of does. It like spreads out and goes wide, obviously. But let us just ping here, I guess. I want to play this because of first strike. I guess so. I'll attack here. I didn't figure there was going to be a block of any kind. The Pride Mate can be blocked by this, and the Ajani is going to get massive. Yeah, we're pretty much at go for the throat or bust. Unless they only attack like that and they're afraid to attack with their 6/6. I don't know what it is about this card, but people like genuinely get afraid to like do anything with this card. I don't know why that is, but like they just will not attack with it. Now, obviously, I just hit some pretty decent cards, but yes. I want to pay the ward. Yes, I do. Now this is an interesting take, but I'm going to do it. We have one of those in play currently. Yes. We need to grab this and this. Yeah, we definitely want to grab that. Because we can obviously kind of combat this. Obviously, the Knight can jump in front of the Pride Mate. Oh, hey! They attacked with us this time. Alright, what's the damage here? Way too much. Also, we have to block it because even if it wasn't that much, like the flyers are too much. So they think this is a chance to get in, which obviously makes sense. Weird way for them to descend, but sure. Go for the throat, maybe? That's my card, by the way. That is mine. Oh, wait a minute. Yo, wait. Can we do something sick here? Oh, yo, this is actually sick, right? We can play. That's actually cool. So we can do this into this. Gain a little life. Play a flame gecko. Ping them. Gecko's bigger. Gain life. Play a gecko. Ping again. Gain more life. And then I can just play this. Dude, opponent, sick deck. We kind of want to attack, do we? Goes to 3 with first strike. Yeah, I want to attack like this, I think. Alright, they're letting me get in. So this is pretty sick. Now, obviously, the Ajani Pride Mate, we can't allow to have flying at some point. And I do get to, like, chump block, but they have to hold it back. This is 4 life a turn, though. If I could find a go for the throat, I'd be thrilled. But here's the problem for him. Is Laughing Jasper is not getting any easier to beat. And, like, right there is a great example. So I'm going to play their Hinterland Sanctificer. I'm going to cast their Healer Hawk. I'm going to Shelter by Ghost onto the creature that gains a ton of life. So we're going to Shelter by Ghost this. So we'd play this. We'd gain 2. This would go up 2 more counters. And then we play a Healer's Hawk. This would gain more. Or we can just play an Ajani Pride Mate. Gain that life. This goes up. This goes up. Play a Shelter. This goes up by 1 billion. And then we just attack. Like, it's not a whole lot to go. But yeah, that's a situation where Laughing Jasper against another creature deck is just incredibly strong. Because, I mean, what, the first time it milled, we played 3 of their cards. The next time we have the potential to play 4. So it's quite wild. All right, so this deck did everything I wanted it to and more. And I think this deck actually felt really, really good. For probably the first time that Lizards felt good for me to play overall. Like, I've had Lizard decks where I've been on to play like 4 or 5 games in a row, and I've been like, yeah, I started with 2 Hired Claws, and then I played like a Flame Gecko, or I had 2 Hired Claws that I played out, and then I cut down something, and those are typically the good starts. Or like a Vinelasher into a Hired Claw with a cut down, and I attack, and I still get to kind of ping and stuff like that. And then, like, the times where we could potentially play Gev on 2, but Gev is typically a remove on site, so most of the time, it will not end up staying there for that long. But other than that, playing the Valley Rotcaller has been quite the interesting card. A lot of people need to remove this as well. So now we have 8 cards in this slot that just need removed on site, along with the Fireglass Mentor. I think the thing that this deck does is makes all these removed on site. So our 1 cost sticks. So like if we're on the play, for example, obviously deck's better on the play. But if we're on the play and we have a Higher Claw attack, right? You know, we play one of these on turn 2. Our opponent goes their turn, they cut down this, right? Or go for the throat, one of these 2. And then I attack my Higher Claw on turn 3. I play Alesha. I bring that back, and now we've essentially taken that removal spell away from them and reset our board state. But we're not going over the top on Alesha, so that's very cool. I do think this card is definitely best in this deck, but it's just been kind of hard to figure out overall. But yeah, so this is Lizards. This deck ran incredibly well. This list was on Untapped. Another list on there. I don't think I made any changes. The only one I really thought about changing was these, because I feel very weird about these a lot of times. And also in best of 1, I do think to some extent we have a lot of mountains. But there's a lot of black sources, which doesn't make sense why we're playing so many mountains. It's really, the reason is to activate this. So I'd probably be more on this at minimum here. Because you want a lot of red sources to make sure the Gecko is activatable. The Higher Claw is activatable. It's not necessarily cost here. And there's no real caverns in here as well, because it does get a little bit weird on your low land counts when you have a squirrel warlock and like a human warrior along with a lizard mercenary. Now obviously lizard can cast this or this, but control is also not really highly represented, so we don't necessarily have to hedge our bets for that. If you run into a control a lot, obviously trim a Fabled Passage or two, play a cavern, or like trim out these lands a bit and play caverns if you need to. But other than that, it didn't feel necessary. Obviously, today we played against a lot of aggro and things like that. But yeah, I mean, the deck was sick. I had a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed watching it as well. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.